Welcome back to Summer Tesla. How's everybody doing? If this is your first time here, welcome. If not, welcome back. As always, there's so much freaking information about Tesla. And today, as I promised in previous videos, I'm going to start doing interviews with actual Tesla owners, not some butthead from the media or, some analyst that has no freaking clue what Tesla is all about. The problem is there's a lot of FUD. And whenever I make a video, it seems like you guys, the general public puts me in the same aspect as the media, which I understand. So I'm changing it up a little bit. I'm going to be talking to owners directly and figuring that out. So that being said, hi.
How's it going?
How's it going? Okay, so let's start off by saying, first of all, thanks for showing up. Second of all, you have a Tesla. What Tesla do you have? Tell us about your Tesla.
Model S, right?
Okay.
So it's great. It's similar to yours, right? It's a nice shiny blue color with the white interior and the sunroof, right?
Yeah. What year is yours?
2019.
2019. Perfect. That's a 100D?
Yeah, the P100D.
Nice. So that being said, we see a lot of crap in the media, especially about Tesla consistently. Now, Tesla by no means is a perfect company. I've mentioned that 1,000 times and I'm sick and tired of mentioning the same thing. We can nitpick any company. I think that's literally, I've driven more cars than I can count. I've owned more cars than I can count, and both from the lowest end to the highest end. Mm-hmm. And there is no such thing as a perfect company, period.
Never.
With Tesla, I think what happens is, overall, I think people look at Tesla as they kind of put it on a pedestal where it doesn't belong.
Yeah.
I mean, your car, my car, it's a five-seat, family sedan.
Yeah.
It's not a Ferrari. Yeah. Although it will take on a Ferrari, it's not a Ferrari, right?
I've taken it to Mission Raceway. We got like 10.7 quarter mile.
In a family sedan.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not, it's a great aspect of that. But today, let's talk a little bit about people's perception of Tesla. Mm-hmm. When we're looking at the mass media or we're looking at articles in general, is it fair the way they're being judged, in your opinion?
Not really, because you go look at the big picture of Tesla and how much they're accomplishing. Not just one car got in a car accident.
Yeah, right.
One car caught on fire, but it's like 10 times less Tesla's catch on fire than a normal internal combustion car.
And that being said, how did it catch on fire, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's one of those things where, unlike Chevy Bolts, I don't want to call out Chevy, but Chevy Bolts are spontaneously combusting.
And they're big recall.
Right. But when it comes to Teslas, one of the key things is we talked about this actually before. We said like the MCU2. Mm-hmm. So I'll actually have another MCU2 video coming out soon. But with the MCU2, a lot of the cars with the MCU1 initially, I mean, those things were crashing. They were a total mm-hmm. headache, right?
Because Tesla outgrew the MCU.
Well, I think there was more to it than that. I think just the chips were not probably done properly. But
that too. That
being said, I know for my car, I did an MCU2 upgrade, and I've never had a problem. But I know other people have still had problems. Mm-hmm. So again, it's not a perfect company, but it just happens, right? Things happen. For the price of the car, which is what everybody talks about the most, do you think you're getting the value for the price of your car?
Definitely. Yeah. I would say it's very fast, Right. It has the space, and I've put 1,200 pounds of Home Depot cement blocks in the back of the trunk in the poor car, yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Taking on road trips.
I find that most people, when they're talking about Tesla, there's a lot of people that talk about Tesla are mm-hmm. non-Tesla owners. These are the people who either do a test ride, mm-hmm. or they review the car, because they have the car for 2 hours and they think they know the car, and they make all these videos about it, right? And then there's all these articles talking about Tesla, and it's funny because I actually called them out. Like I'll get to the point where I'll write to the author and I go, have you actually been in a Tesla, or are you just watching YouTube videos, or what? How do you get it?
It's like a lifestyle. Like you don't normally plug in your internal combustion car at home, right? You can't fuel it up at home, but this right. you fuel it up at home, Tesla or other electric car, but you right. still plug it in at home, right?
Is it fair, do you think, for and obviously there's a lot of talks about the Tesla fanboys and mm-hmm. how Tesla's, God forbid you say anything bad, because Tesla owners stand up for the mm-hmm. car so much. Do you think it's fair to do that as a Tesla owner, to go out of your way to diss other electric cars?
Well, I wouldn't like diss electric cars, right? There's a Porsche Taycan. I don't know why Tesla owners hate the Porsche Taycan. I think it's awesome. It brings more competition, right? Same with the Mercedes EQS. People don't like it though. I'm like, you have to like it as a consumer. More options means better improvement by the companies for you, lower price, more, technology.
Ironically, I find it very strange because Tesla's competition is not other electric vehicles.
Yeah.
Right? Tesla's competition is competition, if you want to call it that, is always going to be ICE cars. And the entire mission, right, of Tesla is not other EVs. In fact, every time an EV hits the market, it's a great thing, in my opinion. Granted, there are compliance cars, which we don't expect much from, I personally don't expect much from legacy manufacturers, right? But as somebody who understands business, I can also say for a legacy manufacturer, it is extremely difficult to convert into, electrification. But I think we as Tesla owners have it very good.
Yeah.
I don't think, if you own a Tesla, you don't necessarily realize how much more complicated it is on the other side of the park, right? I know personally people who own the Mach-E and who own the Chevy Bolts and the Leafs and all that stuff. And the consistency, I think, is if you're in a city or your town or wherever you live, it's great. You charge up your car and whatever range it has, you're doing your daily things. And I think any electric car is great for that. I mean that. Like, electric scooter is good for that. I think the big difference between everyone else and Tesla is obviously their charging network. It's massive, right? And so I think that's really where Tesla separates themselves to a degree. Of course, their efficiency and a lot of their technology is much better as far as I've experienced. But in your opinion, as a Tesla owner, if you were to give up your Tesla today, let's say you take any car on the market, any other electric car today, and I was to give it to you for free, but you're not allowed to drive, I'll take away your Tesla, right? So you can't drive the Tesla, but you must keep this thing for the next, let's say, 5 years, whatever we give you. So choose one car that you would replace your Tesla with.
It's a hard choice.
Well,
there's no, there's the Audi, what is it called? Q55 e-tron. Yeah. That range is like 330 kilometers. It's not bad, Okay. You have the Mustang Mach-E. Yeah. Also not bad. What else?
Well, so now that
there's not that many options.
Well, exactly, and this is kind of the thing that I kind of surprise people with that question all the times because I say, okay,
can I take a Rivian?
Sure. So if you were to take a Rivian,
R1T, a nice blue color.
Right. Now, remember, the second it comes out, I'll take your Tesla,
sold,
right, and I'll give you the Rivian, right?
Just free.
So if I do that, right, you're looking at the Rivian, but what kind of problems are you going to run into with the Rivian right off the bat?
It's a new company making a new cars, and it's like same thing with the original Model S. There'll be some problems.
Right.
Actually, the original Model S was hand built. The first couple thousand were hand built, but this is machine built.
Right. So what would you say the Rivian is going to give you the same flexibility as far as travel?
In British Columbia, and I would say Pacific Northwest, yeah, probably.
You're right.
Because the BC Hydro network is amazing, right? Yeah. We have 90 BC Hydro charging stations from Prince Rupert on the west coast, the northwest coast, right? Prince George,
right?
Edmonton, we can, everywhere.
So what about Lucid?
Lucid's also pretty good. I forgot about that one. Again, 500 miles, right? That's
claimed.
Claimed.
Mind you, everything with Rivian and with Lucid right now is all claimed, right?
Yeah.
We don't. It's basically at this point a concept car under testing, and I think this is where a lot of analysts are getting this screwed up. Like, they're looking at it as, okay, here's the competition, right? Which leads me
wait until it's on the road and exits
and actually truly see what it's capable of. Because we've seen so far. I remember the days of Jaguar I-Pace. The Jaguar I-Pace is supposed to be a killer for Tesla.
Well, I forgot about I-Pace actually.
Right.
So, I wasn't kidding when I forgot about it.
Yeah, but that was like for the longest time. That vehicle was in the headlines everywhere. This is gonna kill Tesla. It's gonna bankrupt Tesla, and it was headline after headline after headline for months, right? And then it comes out and just kind of
flops.
Well, it disappeared. I think I've seen two so far.
I've seen a couple, yeah.
Right, But I don't see any headlines about it. I don't see anybody talking about it. And I think this is the problem with the overall mentality where people talk about a potential future car, but we all know that when it comes to the history of legacy automakers, they're very good at bringing out these beautiful concept cars.
That's true.
And then of course when the car comes out, it's a piece of junk, but the concept cars look great, right?
Oh yeah.
And I think this is kind of what I want to see even with Lucid and Rivian, where I want to see them actually out on the road in the public's hands, right? Just like with the Mach-E, right? I call it the Mach-E because I don't call it a Mustang. I think it's disgusting that they went with the Mustang name.
Anything else they could have done.
But so for me, it's a Mach-E. I'm just going to stick with that. But I think the Mach-E overall
it's pretty good.
It's a pretty good car for the overall user, right?
Just for the Ford user.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because Ford diehard fan won't buy the Tesla, but they'll buy the Ford. And that's helping Tesla's mission to electrify the cars, right?
Right. So, I mean, now we're talking about like the F-150 Lightning, for example, which
people don't want to buy the Cybertruck or the Rivian.
It's still not on the market, but I mean, there's so much freaking advertising about it. It's absolutely insane. But really, it's not in a consumer's hands yet, right? And of course, it is in YouTubers' hands and media's hands, but those are all kind of different informations. Nobody's actually had the same information twice, right? And this makes sense because they have to go through the testing and all that stuff, right? But then again, we can say the same thing about the Cybertruck. I mean, people talk about the Cybertruck all the time, right? I know you have a reservation for the Cybertruck, so do I. But with the Cybertruck, what are we actually going to get at the end of the day? Well, we see the concept. One thing about Tesla, though, is they've been pretty good at the concept They
over-deliver, actually.
They over-deliver.
They always do that. They like understate the range, the specs, the features, and boom, you get cup holders in the Model 3, compared to like the prototypes, which are like bare bone, right? They didn't even have the side cameras for the autopilot too.
When we're talking about range and, what do you think is enough range? What do you think is the ceiling that there's a point where range doesn't matter anymore? I've personally said if you get, let's say, 500 kilometers on a full charge, anything beyond that, you're probably just it's kind of like adding extra gas tank to your car for just because you're too lazy to go to the gas station. Right? So what do you think, in your opinion, is the range that should be, the average, if you will?
Well, it depends, because electric cars are way more susceptible to weather and speed, right? Okay. But if you get 100, you can drive 120 kilometers an hour on the highway.
Okay.
At negative 10 degrees, because we're in Canada.
Fair enough.
And that's 500 kilometers. Then that's enough.
Perfect.
Because I'll probably be more like 600 and 700 in the summer.
Right. So I think, and this is kind of what I look at it too, and if the charging infrastructure is there, I know with the V3 now, the V3 chargers, they're much, much quicker.
Oh yeah, they're going to 300 kilowatts soon.
Yeah, so the charging infrastructure is nice, but I agree with you on that. I agree with, there has to be a range that makes sense for the general public. Now, for the average city driver, I mean,
400 kilometers and 500 is even less.
Even less. I think for them, it's great. Like you said earlier, you go home, charge the car overnight. It just works.
Do you really drive 500 kilometers a day? It's
very few people do.
And if you do, you can charge at your work, or you definitely pass a couple of superchargers on your way there, and you stop for 15 minutes, get half the battery.
So let's do a bonus little segment here. People talk about the superchargers, that it's so freaking annoying that you got to sit there and charge the car, and it's annoying, and who has time for that? And this has been a common theme for years. I'll tell you my side of it. In fact, I go to the urban chargers, which are 72 kilowatts.
Guilford ones?
Yep, specifically because I don't like the supercharger. They're too freaking fast.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of the comments, a lot of my YouTube comments, a lot of the new ideas, if I'm writing out something, that's where I like to do it, right? I sit in my car, I got the internet there, I got YouTube there, I got Netflix there, I got my games there, which, by the way, the new games are freaking awesome. So when it comes to charging your car and sitting there for anywhere from half an hour to, let's call it an hour just for sake of argument, anywhere from half an hour to an hour, do you think it's really as bad as it's being talked about?
No, definitely not. And this goes for any electric car. When you're charging one of those level 3 fast chargers above 100 kilowatt,
right,
your battery is probably 50 to 100 kilowatts. So if you really say you're charging 50 kilowatts, getting half an hour charge, that's barely enough time to get some food and go to the washroom and come back to your car.
So Tuason Mills charger, for example, for me, I despise that charger. It's too freaking fast, right? And a really good example is that in Tuason Mills where the food court is.
Oh, it's far.
So basically I plug in my car. Let's say I get there with like 20%. I don't think I ever run it that low, but let's go 20%. And I go to get my food. By the time I decide what I want, I order it. I sit down and start eating. I get a notification on my phone, you're done charging. And it's freaking annoying me. It absolutely bugs the crap out of me. So that's usually when I cheat and I kind of raise it up to 100% because the last 10% is what takes the most.
Yeah.
Right?
Same with your phone or any battery.
Right. But I think there's so much weird negativity or weird things that people talk about that really have nothing to do with facts.
Yeah.
If you had to give an advice to somebody who's thinking about buying a Tesla today, what kind of advice would you say you'd give them?
There's lots of chargers, and the charging is like very quick. Like, you drive for 2 or 3 hours, so you consume 200 or 300 kilometers. You'd plug in for 15, 20 minutes, go to the Starbucks, and go to the washroom. By the time you're back, it's almost done charging. You check your phone, reply to 2 texts, and you're gone. You're done.
How do you find the convenience overall with Tesla's, especially how it works with the phone and over-the-air updates and all that stuff? Do you find that to be a good option for?
Oh yeah, it's 100% definitely the best of any of the manufacturers because you just plug in. Your car has a special serial number, and the supercharger, like because the handshake.
Yeah.
And it knows which one's charging. It knows who is charging which account.
Right.
And all the chargers are networked, so it's very simple. The BC Hydro one's a bit different. You have to go with the app and
go through the process. Charge point. All of these guys are.
It takes a bit longer, but eventually I think we could all just put it into one thing. So all the cars have a special ID, and you could just use your credit card to tap it or something.
Right, and there's obviously talks now about Tesla opening up the chargers to other manufacturers.
I think they'll make another Tesla app for other cars.
Right. Do you think that's a smart thing?
I think so, because they'll get more revenue to build more chargers. All right.
Right. Okay.
Open another, what's it called, supercharger building facility, to build the chargers. I know there's one in Buffalo, New York. There's one in Shanghai.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can make one somewhere in the East Coast or West Coast. Nevada, California. I don't know, another facility here. I don't know, anywhere West Coast.
And I think it's, I actually think it's kind of interesting because this is probably going to wake up the other legacy automakers and go, holy, do I really want my Mach-E, for example, to be charging at Tesla? Because it just looks bad, I think, in many ways. So I think it's going to force, just by Tesla saying this, I think the legacy manufacturers need Tesla at this point. Because when you look at Electrify Canada or Electrify America, I think there's enough problems there that, with the exception of a few people, I have really heard nothing but bad stuff about them.
Yeah, it's a bit buggy sometimes.
Right.
And also that they're phasing out the CHAdeMO too. It's the Squamish one, the Squamish Tesla supercharger.
Yes.
That was the first Tesla supercharger in Canada.
Yeah.
But they're building, I think it's done actually, but the Electrify Canada, sorry, we're in Canada. Electrify Canada charging station. There's 7 CCS and 1 CHAdeMO.
Right. And CHAdeMO's, why do you think CHAdeMO's going
I think
away?
they're phasing it out just because it's maybe slower or not so many. It's more like Nissan Leafs use it.
Yeah, I think that's the only car who uses it, really.
Just, the Japanese and the Chinese electric cars use it compared to the European ones that use the CCS.
I think it's going to be interesting to see, for us as Tesla owners, I know for us, so Tesla is a community, much like, so both you and I ride motorcycles and we're part of the motorcycle community, but Tesla is very, very similar to that community. There's a very interesting way that we all look at each other, right? And so one of my favorite things is going down to superchargers and talking to the amount of friends I make and the amount of people I sit there. I spend a lot of time at superchargers helping new owners. I think this is something that Tesla has kind of failed at. I help new owners set up their cars properly because that's amazing how badly some of the cars are set up, like some of the options. So I spend a lot of time there and just kind of help out people and kind of go through the process. But the community, it's ridiculous. I never went to a charger without talking to another Tesla owner. And lots of times I actually get that notification like I'm done charging, and I'll move the car out of the way and then stay there for another freaking hour, just chatting away with other Tesla owners. And so as the Tesla community, I think it's a pretty close-knit community in one way. But you think that's going to change if they're going to be opening it up to other manufacturers? Like all of a sudden you get Jaguar.
Well, everyone's going to be talking at the charger, like, look, we all have cool electric cars, like.
And that's kind of what I went with. I look at it as it's going to create not the Tesla community, but it's going to create the electrified, the EV community. And I think that's really going to, once that happens, I think that's going to just blow up. It's going to just spread like wildfire, right? We probably shouldn't say that because we have a lot of wildfires happening right now, but I think it's going to spread like wildfire. I think it's going to do a lot of good in the big picture. I don't know if you've had this where you're charging and then somebody comes up because out of nowhere they
and they ask you about it.
They start asking you about your car, and
many times I give them test drives. They're like, "Oh my god, this thing is fast!" It's like I thought my Ferrari was fast. Like,
yeah, exactly. I actually I had a Ferrari owner who challenged me. Like, there's no way that's going to be a thing. So we found a nice little spot and just kind of it just totally wiped the floor with the guy. And I found out a few months later I was in Uppy Squamish, and sure enough, he shows up in a brand new Model 3 Performance, and he's like, I remember you, because my car obviously stands out, right? So it's like, I remember you. Oh my god, you're the guy. That's why I bought this freaking car, because of what your car did to mine. And he sold his Ferrari, which is ironic because it was only a 2-year-old Ferrari. He sold his Ferrari and bought a Model 3 Performance specifically based off that one event, right? And
when you realize no maintenance or oil changes or
So that's actually a good point. How much have you spent on maintenance of your car?
I mean, the road trips, lots of windshield wiper fluid, right? So like at least maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 of those bottles.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe launching the car a bit too many times.
So
we did burn through the first set of tires, the summer performance tires.
Yeah.
I don't think any other maintenance, just windshield wiper fluid.
Yeah, see, that's a funny thing because when people, when I mentioned that a lot. I actually mentioned that I spent more money on this car than on any other car on windshield wiper fluid and on car washes. Literally, I haven't put any money into it aside from my MCU2, which I paid for. Aside from that, really, I haven't put any money into it. And so when I look at it, I've had my car for 3 years, over 90,000 kilometers, and I literally spent money on windshield washer fluid. So I make this joke all the time when somebody asks me, so how's your maintenance on it? And I go, well, damn, windshield washer fluid is starting to get expensive, especially if you want the bug.
Antifreeze one.
So, and that's my joke about it in a sense, but it's true because that's the only thing I know about the whole maintenance aspect. I recently had my brakes checked. I'm at 94%.
Really?
I'm at 94%. So I mean, at 90,000 kilometers to be at 94% brakes. Mind you, I very, very much use the one pedal driving. I touch my brake literally at the very end. I tap it and that's it. So I rarely use my brakes.
Wow, phenomenal.
It's ridiculous, right? It's mind blowing to me that you can do almost 100,000 kilometers and have 90+% of your brakes still active. I remember my BMW or any one of my cars, oh man, I went through brakes like a son of a gun. And especially because we push it, right? I mean, if you have a Tesla, you're gonna push that car, right? I mean, you're gonna have fun with it.
Of course.
You have more of the spirit of driving. But once you let off, that regen clicks in and it's...
The motor spins the other way and you get the regen
powerful,
back in your battery.
Right? So because of how powerful that is, you really, as long as you learn and you kind of advance your skill a little bit, especially with the one pedal driving, I find it to be freaking awesome because once you learn that, you almost never touch the brake.
Yeah, you just tap a tiny bit when you're coming to like a 5-0 roll stop.
Yeah, and I find it interesting even in okay, so do you use you have enhanced autopilot?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do I. So when it comes to using autopilot, what is your biggest complaint? I might as well cover that with you.
Oh, it's not as good as it's in Canada because it just doesn't get some of the roads sometimes.
Huh.
There's this one road I know by in White Rock. It's like Marine Drive.
Yep.
Just going down the hill, and all of a sudden the car just decides to go in the wrong lane.
Oh, really?
It always does that every single time. Yeah, I could take you there. It's really funny how it just does that all the time.
See, I find that that happens for me on Navigate on Autopilot, but it never happens on Autopilot. So Navigate on Autopilot,
The highway.
for me, yeah, it has definitely had its weirdnesses.
In the tunnel area.
In the tunnel area, and I think prior to 21.24, prior to that update, a ton of phantom braking, right? And so now the phantom braking kind of seems to have gone away. But I've used Autopilot exclusively on the highway pretty much everywhere I went, and I've never had a problem with Autopilot. I've had my issues with Navigate on Autopilot here and there, but nothing crazy. Just, I have this old saying, like, Autopilot or Navigate on Autopilot or FSD, they are assistants. So for me, I treat it as an assistant.
They're not fully built yet. They're
not fully built.
They're getting there. Give it another 2 to 5 years.
So for new drivers who are out there with, be it EAP or FSD right now, especially with a subscription coming, there's going to be more and more people that's going to have access to it. If you had to give them one advice, what would it be?
Don't rely on it.
Don't rely on it. Exactly.
You still have to be attentive, and like people don't be attentive, but
I do that stupid thing where I scare the heck out of people, where I pretend I'm sleeping. I'm actually one of those. Mind you, it's normally when people are having fun in their car and I pass them and I realize that they're having fun. So I don't do it to I'm not going to do it to a cop, that's for sure. So I just have a little fun with them, and then I give them a thumbs up and they give you a thumbs up, and it's all great. But I think that's the important thing when it comes to Tesla. I think it's a fun car, it's a fun community. But I don't think it's fair to tell everybody, this is the best company out there. It's not. There's no such thing as the best company. Tesla leads as far as technology goes by far. There's no argument.
The battery tech, the
battery tech, the
infotainment, everything.
Efficiency. There's so much that they lead the industry with. But by no means are they the best company. By no means are they the best at everything. And they're not perfect. Yeah. And I think people have to understand.
Cut them slack.
Yeah. Ultimately, they are still the best option today, as far as I am concerned. That being said, I think everybody needs to make their own decisions, but do the damn research properly. Get out there, get in the cars. And something I tell a lot of people is never be scared to go find the nearest supercharger to you. If you're interested in Teslas, find the nearest supercharger to you. Go down there and talk to the Tesla owners.
100%.
They will be I tell people not to buy a Tesla if I don't feel like they drive enough. If somebody's telling me I drive 3 kilometers every day,
get a bike. Get like a bicycle.
Yeah, get a bicycle. Don't buy a Tesla. It's a lot of money you're spending for something you're barely driving, right? So I am not one of those people that I'm pushing people to buy a Tesla. In fact, I recommend the Hyundai Kona, for example, for a lot of people who I know are driving a certain perimeter, right? Like especially here, I know their driving habits, or I talk to them about it. I say go with the Hyundai Kona. It's your better option than going with a Tesla, right? So I never stick strictly to Tesla. I think for people who literally drive every day for, that's part of their life, and they like road trips and all that stuff. At this point, unfortunately, really Tesla is the only option for that. I have zero doubts if I want to do a cross-country drive, I will definitely take a Tesla over anything else.
Yeah.
So, all right. This was fun, actually.
It was pretty awesome.
Now we got to get some more Tesla owners in here. And then next time, maybe I'll
just go to the supercharger.
Just go to the supercharger, exactly. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you so much for doing this, and leave me comments. Tell me what you think. The whole shebang. I don't care. That all being said, I'll catch you guys on the next one. And like we just said, if you have Autopilot, you have FSD, or any of those, you are not to rely on any tech 100% until the day when Tesla says, we'll take 100% responsibility for my car's action. Until then, you are 100% responsible. Your insurance company is going to hold you responsible, and so will the law. So pay attention. Drive your car. Thank you. Catch you on the next one.